day, because I think that's really what I've like the disconnect is like, how do I turn like sort of like an overarching like strategy of how you actually do this job into like practically this is where I spend my time, for let's say 3 hours is really like probably like 3 different time blocks or 2 hour and a half time blocks. They're like, these are the most important things, right? And everything else can kind of go somewhere else. So that's where I guess I'm kind of focused today is like, okay, like what do I actually, like where do I need to spend my time today? And so I'm just kind of adding it into my calendar in the mornings as like a sort of an overview of like, okay, when you sit down in the morning, like this is what your day needs to look like. These are the couple different activities you need to focus on. Like just do those. And focus on that. And then as long as I get those couple things done, it's like everything else sort of works. So that's just what's on my mind, I guess, coming back.
Well, let me ask you this, though. I mean, I feel like we've had this discussion, and I always view it as a problem with organizing, but that might not be the right diagnosis, Will. So can you help me understand what you think it might be?
Mm, uh, I mean, maybe it is an organization thing. Um, I think, like, I know we have kind of talked about this stuff before. I think a lot of it was sort of like trying to understand how it works. And a lot about like, I guess strategy, like we've talked about. And I think like really having like I guess like a sort of a templated calendar for each day and each week is what I'm sort of missing. So maybe it is organization.
Well, I think the other question is, and this is not a new question that's specific to you. I've asked this rhetorically to every member of this team, but I think where it has to start is this the job you thought it was, and is this the work that you want to be doing? And I say that because I think at the team meeting there were a lot of really vulnerable conversations that I appreciated. And what I'd hoped is that some people would be walking away from there trying to decide, is this where I find my energy and motivation? And so some of the work we do is not glamorous. And some of the work that we do, I think there are people who don't find a lot of energy, and I don't know if that's you or it isn't. I've just in the past several one-on-ones I've had with people, it's been something that I've asked the team to spend some time thinking about. I mean, I think there comes a time where when you look at whether it's pulling lists of ADP takeaways or pulling lists of lost accounts over the last handful of years, or it doesn't. The lists are there. If you've got 800 accounts, for example, then there are lots of different ways you can slice and dice the lists of accounts that you can call on, and then it's just a matter of how do you want to formulate the plan around those lists. And
I mean, yeah, if you since you're asking me if I want to stay here, I guess we could be very blunt. I've done sales jobs, always done sales job, recruiting sales jobs. Like some are better than others. This sales jobs, it seems like every time that I feel like I am like moving forward with something, it's like there's something that hits me in the fucking face and pisses me off.
okay,
And it's very frustrating. And like, it's just always like, even getting a couple deals through, it's like there's an old chargeback that I wasn't thinking of that, like, they sort of talked about like, oh, this is a new job, everything from like the verbiage, I guess, from, them moving us and stuff. It's like, oh, look, everything that's happened before, this is a new job, new position, like starting fresh. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I don't have that. And then like, I still do have that, even though I couldn't see it anywhere in my tracker until like a week before I thought I was getting paid. So it's like stuff like that, frustrating. Not having quotas until a month after the fiscal year when we've already sold stuff, and then having things change retroactively from, pay on or pay on submit to pay on, like these things like are very frustrating. So I think a lot of it makes it hard to keep focused, I think. And maybe that's just I'm not great at staying focused. Maybe it's like I need to figure out how to manage my emotions better towards things. It's probably the case, I'm sure. But that's been my experience. So I think a lot of the times when I feel like, okay, cool, like I got things locked in, and it's like maybe I allow myself to get very frustrated and I don't know, emotionally like
Well,
exhausted.
I don't think you're alone in some of the ways in which you've described your frustration. This isn't a conversation to try and get you to say you don't want to be here. I think it's just an open, honest conversation that has to happen anytime there's, I'll call it forces, inside of an organization that are not within our control, and then those that are, we manage them, right? And so that's why I asked. I mean, so obviously your numbers look great, but when you look at your pipeline, it's apparent you struggle. And so the natural question is this an area where you're like, I'm super excited to get up and do this job, or I'm not? And I'm not asking you to answer that here on this call. I'm asking you to take that away and answer that for yourself, right?
Yeah, that's where, that's like why I guess I brought it up. Because like there's been, I feel like I can get in a good headspace here, but like for some reason it only lasts until like the next thing changes that like drives me nuts.
And I do think there are sales jobs out there where it's maybe not structured that way. I haven't been in any, but that doesn't mean they're not out there. So I just wanted you to hear me say that, because at least in the world of HCM, it feels like a lot of what I see here at Paychex, I mean, look, acquisition aside, of course, because that is something that doesn't happen every day, but a good bit of this other stuff exists at Ceridian, exists at ADP, it exists at the two startup benefits, digital solutions companies I work for. So that stuff isn't new, but whether there's, policy change that, I mean, the Rev on Run and Rev on Submit, I've seen those changes happen, once a year, let's say, but the stuff around, whether you have your number or you don't, you have a number, and so then there's work that's associated with that number. And I just always find that when people are challenged with the day in and day out of the job, the question becomes, are you happy or satisfied in the job? And I just don't know the answer to that for you. And I feel like, coming here April 1st, we had a conversation then, and then intermittently, there have been some things that I've felt like I've seen some great stride. I've seen, the frustration. I think I see that from all team members. I see that from myself. I mean, we're going to have those waves of it. But in general, is this the job that gets you out of bed in the morning? And if it is, great. And if it's not, then I want to be the person that helps you discover where is that. But that's a conversation you should sit on. We're coming at the end of Q1, and I know that right now the numbers look really good, and I'm thankful that they do. And I think you're doing an excellent job with managing through the deals that you've got and are putting up on the board. But I think it's also when things are good is the best time to be having a conversation, because money feels good, but the way in which you earn the money has to feel good.
I haven't earned any money. So.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but you know what I mean? Like you can see the trajectory, I'm sure. I mean, it's far different than it was. And it may not feel that way until you actually see something hit your bank account. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
but it looks different than it did.
If anything, it feels like I think this is more of a feeling than maybe the reality, but it's like, there's always a reason I can't make money here. That's what it feels like. So I don't know.
Well, tell me what I can do to help you.
I mean, I think the negative thing just is what it is. Like, that just sucks. Like, I get it. I thought it went away, though, because I couldn't see it for, like, a month and a half. So I was like, cool. All right, I actually get paid. I think it was, like, not being able to see that. And then I just kind of hitting, like, on the day I was expecting to get paid. Like, I saw it for the first time. I was like, fuck. So I think that's just kind of like a...
Well, okay, so we might as well talk about that for a second. Let's look at it. Like, why is it that you couldn't see it?
I just didn't see it in CPQ. Like, it wasn't, like, added in there until I guess she, like, went in there and, like, went through my commission or something. Like, it just wasn't updated yet.
So what will happen, and this will happen, let's see, July, August, September. This is going to happen again at the end of this quarter, is they'll go through another quarter audit. And so they'll go back and look. I mean, I know they try to do this at the end of every month too, but ultimately I'm noticing they're finding a deeper dive audit that happens at the end of a quarter. And that's where they're going to go and do some reconciling again. And so what I always recommend is, like, if you go into your deals and you take a look at where JAMA specifically is making some notes, that's and I normally will, like, I try to run a report, like I'll usually run a report through December, and it's picking up some negatives from the team, and I'll say, hey, when I notice that, I'll send a note over and say, hey, what's this? We've actually found a couple of math errors as a result. Margie reached out. I'd seen it at the same time she did, and there was a deal where the discounting, we discounted when we sold it at 60%, and for some reason operations discounted it again another 60%. And so when the true up or true down came, and we were trying to find the math, that wasn't mathing, so we can look to make sure the number's right. I don't know if that's helpful to share an example.
No, it is confusing. Like, I don't even know what the numbers mean. It's like, I sell a deal for however much money, and then it just gets broken into like 15 different things, and I'm like, I don't even know what this stuff is going for. Some come this month, and then you look on the submittal, like, revenue counter, and one day you have revenue, one day you don't. It's always a different number every single day, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
So it's important to learn, though. So when JAMA separates out the products, she's going to separate out when the revenue gets realized. And then, of course, we all know that if you, like, let's just say you, I don't know, speak to some owner, and the owner says, yeah, I process about 65 employees. And then here we sit in August, and now, their beachside restaurant falls off in September. Then that when they go down to, like, 28 employees, that we're going to see in 3 months, because of the window of time, there's going to be an adjustment. So that's why I always say, too, that when you submit, it's okay to submit the accurate number, but when you have, like, a restaurant where that fluctuation can happen, one of the best things you can do is to talk to implementation and see what is that first payroll processing period, and then let's talk with JAMA on making sure that we're offsetting the way in which that adjustment, because the adjustment's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it. But at least we'll know that, and we can prepare. That's why I say, go out there and let's find something to offset that negative that's coming your way, in 90 days. And we have to just go find the business to offset the negative. And that's part of when I say kind of filling the gaps in the pipeline, that's part of the exercise, is if we work with 3 to 5x your pipeline, which I know seems like a large number, then we're not relegated to saying that we need an 80 to 85% close ratio, which just isn't realistic. I mean, I think there are lots of you who vet out your deals in such a way where your close ratio is certainly higher.
I've always done that. I don't think I do it right, because it's like every job I've ever had, it's like high closing percentage. I think it's because I don't count regular conversations like until they really get serious. I'm like, okay, now this is worth meetings and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I know what you mean, but I'm aware how it works. I think it's just like for some reason it gets a little frustrating. I don't know if it's just on me managing it or something.
Well, that's just it, though. I mean, I don't know. It's a silly example, but sometimes I'll go into my closet and I just stare at my dirty laundry, and I know it needs to be washed. I hate to fold it, but it's not going to fold itself, and so that's a great example of household work I can't stand to do. But some of this job comes with work that is like, it's not my favorite thing. And when I look and I see, okay, if I go into September, for instance, and I see you got $12,000 quota and you've got one first meeting, it scares me. And I'm pretty sure it probably scares you too. It should. And whether or not, like in August, we're going to build a $36,000 pipeline is, who knows. But I think we have to go and look for it. We have to find it. So at least you're sitting, at some number that's closer to 3x.
But I mean, I get your point, right? But like, what is our sales cycle, right? What would you say our sales cycle is? 30 days, 45 days?
I think the average is probably sitting around a 30-day mark. Sure.
Okay. So the expectation would be then that anything I pipeline over the next few weeks would be closed for September. So like I know it's like a little light now. I had like probably 8 things, and like they just didn't really go anywhere. I'm nurturing them. But I mean, like, if you look at like the time deals sell or don't sell, it's like most likely whatever I said over the next 3 weeks is going to be what closes next month anyway, right?
Okay, so tell me where you're headed with that comment. What do you mean?
I feel like that's what I'm doing this month, is like finding pipeline to close. Like, I've already hit my number for this month, so I'm not really worried about it so much. So like what's on my mind now is like, okay, this is where I set pipeline to close in September. So I'm not like worried about it necessarily. Like, that's just how it works, right?
Well, I would say that each month we have to move deals. I mean, the velocity that Carly speaks of requires that we move with a sense of urgency. But there's also going to be deals where we know, it's going to take 60 days to close. I mean, if an average is 30, then that means there are some that are 45 or 60 and some that are 15. But if we have no pipeline, then the business looks at that and says, how can we have any assurance that there's a number that will be met other than luck? Because there's nothing there to pull from. So that's where building pipeline in June for July and August, building pipeline in July for August and September, building pipeline out for months to come. And that's where I think the activity has to be more consistent, or there isn't any activity. And then you get lucky and you say, well, I had this big PEO deal that closes. Great, but there's no big PEO deal in or September, October. And so you don't want to feel that. You don't want to have a sense of, oh crap, where's that number going to come from? Let me get out there the next 2 weeks, scramble to do it, because you're always playing in a reactive mode when you do that, more defensively. And that's all I'm really saying about it.
Yeah, I understand that. It's like having a consistent activity that you're constantly doing. You're able to sort of use
Sure.
math to understand, like, okay, like this is going to equal this. Like, I get that part.
So I think the question is though, sending over the slides. What do you need from me to be successful?
I mean, I don't necessarily feel like that there's anything I need from you at the moment to be successful. Like, I think just like sort of like you're saying, like set the expectations, set the activity that you hit, and just do it in a way that's replicable, week over week, right? And you're going to get the result you want. So,
okay. So do you have drops planned for the week?
I mean, Wednesday is when I usually do drops.
Right, but I mean, how are you? What are you? How do you determine where you're dropping?
Pick a couple zip codes. Like, that's what I do this afternoon. Target list. Target like 20 accounts. Call through qualified decision makers tomorrow. Qualified decision makers, put them in a sequence. Send first email tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Call through decision makers once they've already been qualified. Talk track, right? It's for basically like a cold call. Try to warm it up, see if I can get in touch with them, let them know, hey, I'm going to be in the area Wednesday. I'm going to drop by some information. I help businesses with either they're wanting to improve their, tactical HR operations, or, better strategize long-term, their employee management processes, or they're having trouble finding people, maybe managing people. I'm just going to drop some information about that, and that way you can take a look at it and let me know if there's anything like you're interested in, discussing more. Then you just drop in, see if you can talk to someone Wednesday, and then Thursday, sort of follow-ups. Friday, maybe more follow-ups. I think that's pretty cut and dry system of doing things.
Okay. So map out some time to make sure those are logged. One of the things, and I think Carly probably addressed this today, I was multitasking, but around the way we're logging activity. So with expense reports, there's I think it's a justification field, and all I've been asking for is like if you put, Will at Sunset Grill or something, and that way, in that field that gets reported, there's a way that Tiffany can pull and say, okay, these accounts, this contact, we'd rather see that in Salesforce, but right now it's not happening in either. And so there's no way.
That was a question I had with this, right? So if I do 10 drops, you want me to put 10 different companies in that little field?
No. But if you bought 10 crumble cookies, then you would need to say, $20 on this company and $20 on that. And if you wanted to do
basically
an itemization,
it's like, let's say it's a $200 receipt.
Yes.
I need to go in
and itemize it to the company.
Okay.
Yes. And they're trying to look at, and I think this is probably how we were able to get some of the additional budget for, I think, more professional drops. Mm-hmm. Is they're looking to see if there's a certain campaign, and whether, I don't know if I'd call Crumble Cookie a campaign so much, but if we did, like College Yeti Week, or March Madness, or something that was oriented towards holiday, and you did that for, let's say, 2 weeks in a row, and there was more percentage of meetings booked as a result, then they want to know what that is. And if there wasn't, that's okay. It's a matter of understanding when we do these coordinated drop, that has a theme, let's say, does any one thing resonate more so than another? And it's not so, I don't know that it's the gift. It's a matter of the message that's associated with the gift too. So there are times when, like, I did a drop once that said, and I'd have these little sports team luggage tags, and I put a note in there, and it said something like, everybody loves to bet on their favorite sports team, but nobody likes to bet on the war against talent or something. And then, and then a little message that goes alongside of, usually I throw, you know what I mean? Like just something crafty like that. But I think the organization's trying to just pay attention to different themes that are working or not working, and how the organization can support us better, instead of having, reps across the nation doing their own individualized thing, and somebody might be capitalizing on something really successful out there and not sharing it. So not so much, I don't think anybody's inspecting the cost as much as they are the lift that you're getting from it. That's my interpretation anyway.
Okay.
But I'd much rather see you put it, you got to put it in your expense report, but in Salesforce is the better way to track it. It's just, takes a little bit extra time. So, okay. Well, I mentioned the role play roulette. We'll do that on Friday. I'll send more details out about that. That's going to be more of objection handling. Nitta's team's going to join us, and we'll roll the wheel on, and then, role play, and then have some prizes around that. And I think later this week, we're trying to confirm a meeting that Christina has on site. But outside of that, I'm pretty much around if you need anything. And I think I'm going out in the field with Ashley for a day next week. So if there's anything that you'd like me to do to support you, let me know. Throw it on my calendar. Happy to help. But as always, if there are accounts you're just not making any headway with, or some that you've tried, and whatever the case may be, I'm happy to help do that. Will, you just got to send it over and tell me what it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Awesome. Any questions I can answer for you?
I'm good. I'm just trying to build some pipeline.
Sure.
So
that's the focus for sure.
I understand that.
Did that girl, the lady, ever get back with you from the 1099 organization, or did she just fall off the radar?
I followed up with her. I ended up using someone else. I think they're doing sketchy stuff, so not really worth it.
It's weird, that's for sure. I don't know about sketchy, but it's definitely strange.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you can kind of